Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vanity Ezel back at it with the Card 5 Vanguard Ezel and Vanity weekly review. So hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, comment, subscribe, and let's go and start, shall we? So this time we are covering the end of set 9, which happens to, or most likely the end of set 9, which also happens to finally include the card I was waiting for the longest time because I knew at the start of Overdress they would do something like this. Sadly, it had to involve the two things I thought they would do at the start of Overdress together, which I can't say I'm proud of, but whatever. And that is Graphogia, the Dragon Tree. So let's go and get these reveals started, and I can give my opinion, and hopefully my opinion steers clear of episode 3 of the anime, where I don't go into bias hatred. First up, we have Rick Cerberus. So grade 3, 200 persona, 13k base, a support card for Almagesters. Act rear guard once per turn by counterblasting one if your Vanguard has Almagester in its card name. Choose 2 triggers from your drop zone, put them to your soul, and this gets plus 5k for the turn. So it's essentially just a grade 3 version of the grade 2 of the ride line, which isn't bad, because if your drop zone is overloaded with triggers, it does its job well. My issue is, which ends up getting answered by another Almagester card that we'll get to the list later, is the fact that the deck is way, like, in my mind, it's way too easy to send so many triggers from drop to soul to the point where unless you have actively been drawing your triggers left, right, and center, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to consistently use all of your skills at once. Like, I rarely get to use Terra's skill, let alone I rarely get to use like my other skills to put stuff into soul, because either I'm just not getting them, or if I do get them, I'm putting them all back to soul within 2 different attempts. I don't need another card that does this from drop. I need one that does it from hand. Again, gets addressed later. Either way, Rick Cerberus is not a bad grade 3 because it at least gets extra 5k, and it could help like load a bunch of triggers into soul if you are seeing your triggers left or center. So a solid 2 of tech in Almagesters. Then we have Winged Dragon Pass and Terra. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear when this unit boosts anything. By soul blasting one, choose one of your units that's boosting, and it gets auto Vanguard or rear guard when this unit attack hits a Vanguard. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, murder, and until end of turn. So it's not a once per turn, meaning that if it happens to be Overlord and it stood, because it keeps it till the end of turn, it means that it can attack again and it will still keep the retire effect, which is great. All around, it's a nice booster just because it gives on-hit pressure for attacks. It works better in restanding decks, but hey, the good thing is it's in Dragon Empire, the deck with the restanding over. So solid card, I like it a lot. Definitely does the most threat in Overlord because again, consistent restanding Vanguard that might even have triple restand. So why not run this thing as a solid 3 of or 4 of in an Overlord deck, and maybe a 2 of or 3 of in other Dragon Empire decks, depending how you feel about it. Because again, free rear guard kill for a Soul Blast. Then we have Clean Sweep Dragon. So grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. This the Persona Ride double rare for Dark States. Act rear guard once per turn. If you Persona Road this turn, Counterblast will choose up to 3 cards in total between both you and your opponent's rear guards and put them into their owner's soul. And for each card put to the soul by the spell, you can get plus 5k for the turn. So when I first saw this, I thought, so do both players have to put 3 or is it just 1? Based off the anime, it is you can pick between who picks. Essentially, you can get rid of 3 of your opponent's rear guards at once, which is interesting. So it's not bad. I have just the slightest amount of hatred towards this card because the one deck I run it in, and I was playing with it all weekend, the one deck I run it in, I only drew it after I Persona Road, and I never drew any Persona Rides after. I think he just hates me. It's not a bad card because it just gets rid of 3 rear guards for the cost of a counterblast, but yeah, no, he just does not like me, I guess. So solid 2 to 4 of in your deck. For me, fuck this card. Then we have, and guess what? It's on page 5 of the slides, as per usual. Fallen of the Draco Tree, Demonic Shredder, the last Draco Tree support card, or at least of the grade 1s. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto is placed on rear guard by counterblasting 1. Choose one of your rear guards without Draco Tree marker on it. Put Draco Tree marker on it. This is one of the decks I can easier spam out Draco Tree markers on it. Yes, that is a hint. I've already started playing Draco Tree markers. If you have not seen the channel videos yet, go ahead and start looking at them. In fact, literally later today, there's going to be a video where it's just Raika's, Michiru's, and Urura's decks versus their Draco Tree counterparts. So Keter, Dark States, and Stoic, and trust me, it's actually a fun video. Like, I enjoyed editing the fuck out of that video, so go watch it. But anyways, decent skill for the skill. And then act rear guard once per turn. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater by soul blasting 2, choose a grade 1 lower unit from your soul, call it to rear guard, same column as it. So it's not bad. It calls to the same column. Sadly, it has to be grade 1 or less, but I guess it's good because that means you just call it a copy of itself and then just spam its skill 24/7. So it's not the worst thing in the world. In my opinion, it could be better if it was grade 2 or less, but it's good as what it is. So solid 4 of in a Draco Tree deck. I did not mean to skip out. Well, that gave you a small look at Graphogia's skill if you haven't already seen it. Next up, we have Resentment's Dragon. Grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto is placed on rear guard by your card's ability. By soul blasting 2, you countercharge 1, and this unit gets plus 5k for the rest of the turn. So not bad, not bad, not bad. 15k, and it gets a counter charge. So it works well with Graham Grace because essentially it cuts Graham Grace in half. So, you know, the counter blast and soul blast to call it and then you Soul Blast 2 more, and then you send it to Soul. So essentially, you just used his skill. That's all you really did. Or, like, you used his cost, and that's pretty much all you did to give the unit plus 25, or 15. All around, it's not a bad skill. I do like it. It definitely helps keep Graham Grace in check with Counterblast, though sometimes my Graham Grace issues tend to be more Soul Blast based than Counterblast, so I'm not really sure I like this thing a lot. But A, it's not bad, so I do recommend running as a solid 2 over 3 of in a Graham Grace deck, especially if your Graham Grace deck is actually more Counterblast heavy than Soul Blast heavy. Then we have Draco Tree of Apocalyptic Decimation Graphogia. Here's my thing. I have typed that name, that exact name, word for word, 30 times in the last hour. Do not ask why. Grade 10, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base, another example of Bushy going the anime moment with like how they did in Buddy Fight where they just chose to make things size fucking 30, like out of nowhere, like, oh yeah, size 3, size 99. Yeah, sure. Or, well, there wasn't really a size 99, I suppose it was just a size 90, but you get the point. Like, I don't know why they made it a grade 10. This was completely unnecessary. If they really wanted to avoid its shenanigans, they could have just made it a grade 6 because there was no grade 5 that can be physically rode on because Valkyrion can't be ridden if I remember its wording correctly. So there's that, but I guess Bushy was like, nah, 6 looks too arbitrary. Let's make it fucking 10. Anyways, Continuous Vanguard. During your turn, this unit gets plus 5k for each Draco Tree marker on your rear guard. If you have 3 or more, he gets a crit. So it's not a bad skill because based on what we know about the grade 0 from the Ride deck, it's a guaranteed as of right now because we're probably going to get it later in this episode, but for me, I don't know what it is yet. So, you know, it's an easy 23k because we already get 2 free Draco Tree markers, and then if you make a third one via literally any of these, you get an extra 5k, so you're at 28 with double critical, regardless of what grade your opponent's at. And I tell you what, going second against this thing is fucking annoying because double crit is pressurable. And then Auto Vanguard, once per turn. And when this unit attacks a Vanguard, choose a face-up Calamity card from your Ride deck, remove it from the game, and if you did not remove a card, choose an over trigger from your Ride deck, reveal it, activate all its trigger effects, and activate its additional effect, remove it from the game, and send all your rear guards with Dragon Tree markers on them. So, you know, double crit, 28k beat stick possibly, and then by slowly removing Calamity orders, sadly this means you have to wait till turn 7 or turn 6 to finally do a play, you can flip the over and win the game. Here's my thing. I knew at some point they were going to do something like this, specifically this skill, where they would find a way to put the over in the Ride deck and flip it up. And then I knew they would do something like this, because it's Bushy and they would probably do it, and it's anime and they would probably do a giant dragon bitch as a fucking boss. What I'm disappointed in is that they did both in one card. Because I'm not against the over. I do find the over sometimes annoying, not really, because honestly, it's more just random luck, and to be fair, that's been a part of the game for a long time. Like, you could still lose to any trigger and get shut down by any trigger. The over just kind of makes it more flashy, in my opinion, but that's how it is. I'm interested to see where the support goes for this, because I had a lot of theories of what this could have been, and they threw it all out the window within 5 seconds by just this skill alone. I mean, this one was kind of on where I was going with my theory, but yeah, no, they threw that skill out the window so quickly. So we'll see where this goes. I'm very curious to see where their support goes, because considering he goes in all nations, but he only has 1 support card per nation, that's the Draco Trees, I'm interested to see how they support him and not break the deck at the same time. 4 of, I guess. And then we have our Almagistra card that I was talking about earlier that fixed the soul problem, and that is Arium Capricorn. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear guard, when it boosts, if you have Vanguard Almagistra on its card name, choose it to 1 trigger unit from your hand or drop zone. Put it to your soul. If you put a card from your hand, draw a card. So great. Not only is he free, not only can he boost whatever the fuck he feels like it, as long as the Vanguard is whatever. It doesn't even have to be Unica. It can literally be the grade 1 or grade 2 of the Ride line. You can, fuck it, the grade 0 if you manage to call it out. You can send a trigger from drop zone or from the hand for free into the soul, and then if you sent it from hand, you get a draw. This card, in my opinion, literally fixed every problem I have with Almagistars in one move. I mean, I don't even know why I'm saying in my opinion. I only had one problem with them, is the fact like they're sending it from only drop zone, and this card immediately fixed it. 4 of, if Bushy prints any more of this, the deck's going to be broken. That is my opinion on that because I know it to be true. Then we have Barrack and Manticorn. Grade 2 units, 5k shield, 10k base. Honestly, I imagined he would be more of like the Manticorn from earlier. This one, where Cerberus, where he just sends stuff from drop to soul, but apparently his skill is actually better. So, continues rear guard during turn. If your binds on his 2 or more trigger units, not specifically critical triggers, it gets plus 10. So I really do like how, even though Unica requires specifically critical triggers for his skill to go off, the rest of the line and just the rest of the Almagistar support cards in general don't specifically require criticals. They just require any triggers, which is great because that means the deck doesn't get dead immediately if you don't see critical triggers. It just loses Unica's ability if you don't see critical triggers, which isn't that bad. So all around, it's nice that he can just get free plus 10 just by having 2 more trigger units in Bind Zone, and considering the fact that the grade 1 of the Ride Line can bind 1 for free basically, and the fact that Unica can most likely bind 2 at the same time at the very least. It's all around a nice support card, and I love it. The only way it could be better is if it was during both players' turns, but then if it was, it would just make it a 5k, so I'm kind of glad it's 10k instead. Plus, we already have Kids Peak, who's already a 5/5, so all around, great grade 2. I love it. Solid 4 in my deck.
And now let's move on to the last reveals of the day, the Draco Tree Ride Line. So first up, we have the most important card in a Graphogia, and I must say I'm very proud of myself because I almost got its skill completely right, or at least how I've been playing it. I've been playing it right. So grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base. You can only have up to a total of 5 card J Ride deck made up of this card, 3 Calamity cards, and an over trigger, so it's very specific on the Ride deck skill. Contains Vanguard, this unit is plus 2k for each Calamity card with a different card name in your soul. Okay, I said before originally for each Calamity card in your soul, but I did mean different card names, so fair enough. And then auto Vanguard at the beginning of your main phase, choose a Calamity card from your Ride deck and put it into your soul. And then if you want to, by putting 3 Calamity cards from your soul that were in the Ride deck back into the Ride deck face up, you search your hand or deck for up to 1 Dragon Tree of Eclectic Decimation Graphogia, write it as stand, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it, and if you wrote a card, choose 2 of your rear guards and put a Draco Tree marker on them. So this skill is very interesting because A, it actually allows you to put Draco Tree markers on top of other Draco Tree markers. Granted, there's no way to actually do that right now because you can't call anything because this thing is still a grade 1 on board, or sorry, grade 0 on board, and all the support is grade 1, meaning you can't call them to rear guard until after you ride to grade 10. But hey, on the bright side, if by some miracle we do find a way to make a Draco Tree marker while you're still on this thing, you can stack 2 Draco Tree markers on the same circle, so great. And thankfully this thing has the search for hand and deck or deck skill instead of just search for deck skill because, great god, searching for deck, while I didn't run into the problem yet, I almost ran into the problem of seeing all of them out of my deck, meaning I wouldn't have been able to ride. Thankfully it was from hand or a deck though, so I didn't want to have to worry about it. So around, I do like the starter. I'm very proud of myself that I got most of it right just based off of anime cues alone. So hell yeah, nice ride deck card. Very unique. Then of course we have our Calamity cards, which I question why they had to be Calamities considering their skills are exactly the same as the Disaster cards from literally set 8. So I don't know, but we have the start to the end, Messias, Metamorphosis, and Looming Demise. All of them are grade 1, 2, and 3 respectively, my favorite being this one, followed by this one, this would be my least favorite by a mile. And they all have the exact same skill, which is, by counterblasting 1, by the way, they're normal orders, by counterblasting 1, you search after 1 Calamity card revealed, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. All of them share that skill, meaning they can all just fetch a copy of themselves, or a copy of the other one, which, you know, it's not bad because it deck thins, I guess, but I don't understand why you run this outside of deck thinning. Is that really the only purpose? Because I feel like CB1 and the decks where they kind of want to use their CB is like 50-50. Like, I don't know about this, but it's not bad, I guess, but you really only run it for that superior ride skill, so fair enough. Then we have the Draco Tree markers, not reprint, but I guess me bringing this back up again, because if you don't remember in the original one, this word was blanked out, and I had thought it was Graphogia back here, but as of today, it is actually Masquez. So it has the exact same skill, you know, during your turn if your Vanguard's Draco Tree or Masquez in the card name, all your unit circles get plus 5k power. My question is, what the fuck is Masquez? Who is Masquez? Because I was gonna say, is it this thing? But I realized this is just fucking Dragon Tree Graphogia at just a different angle. I'm curious. It's probably the fucking guy that is masked up in the fucking anime. Because isn't mask as like a word for mask in some language? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But either way, it's interesting to say the least. So I'm kind of curious to see where this goes. And as of right now, the last reveal for today is my boy. The only reason I care about set 10, Mirror Resonance, equip Mirror's Virina. First up, did they really have to call it Mirror's Virina? If we just listen to this in a certain tone, this very much sounds like Mirror Virina. I get the joke, but come on. I mean, it's a cool card, though, so I'll give it that. I cannot wait to see that be revealed. I already have my speculations on what its skill could be out of many things, but I'm just going to leave my speculations to myself and be wrong when I be wrong. So without further ado, I'm going to end it here. I feel like Bushy's going to reveal a little bit more because, honest to God, I kind of just recorded this a little bit early, but if they don't reveal more than this at the end of the episode, so I hope you guys enjoy. So in the description, tell me, what do you think about grade 10, motherfucker? And because I'm curious to see if any of you can guess, when do you think I'm going to start, well, actually, yeah. What do you think the matchups are going to be when I use Graphogia against the different nations? I'm curious to see what you guys think it will be. So I'm going to end here. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.